Stalker Slayer's rubbish.
Jesus Christ, that whole thing about UK Games Expo has just kind of blown up, and it's so nonsensical. So when I made my video earlier today, I was kind of on the side of, yeah, probably that's not necessarily a good idea for a scenario to run at a convention, especially in the atmosphere that we have today. But, you know, it's a horror game, and the reaction has been massively overdone. So that was kind of the position I was in over it. Since then, having seen the reaction continue to roll on, and the kind of things that people are demanding or doing or saying, I'm more inclined to say don't give these fuckers an inch, quite frankly, where before I was perhaps a little more sympathetic to the idea that this perhaps wasn't appropriate, or there should have been more warning. I'm now coming down more on the side of fuck all your motherfuckers, quite frankly, because it's just out of control. Demands for even more censorship. The guy has been banned from GMing. They're going to tighten their already fairly strict procedure for approving scenarios to be played at the convention, which is just an insane way to go about things anyway, to me. And then to tighten that structure even more, a way to make your convention rather drastically unappealing to anyone who might want to run a game. God, sometimes I went into conventions and just ran a scenario off the top of my head. Yeah, it's been known to happen. How do you clear that? Some kind of brain scan or something? It's just absurd. They've gone after everything this guy has ever done. Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of similar treatment. They're casting aspersions about his sexual proclivities and so forth without any basis. And some people don't even pause when they're informed that it's a horror game. To them, it seems Scooby-Doo is horror, and anything even slightly stronger than that is beyond the pale and cannot possibly be allowed. It's just bizarre, and the more reaction that I see of this, you know, in fairly large groups about gaming, board games, role-playing games, whatever, the more the zeitgeist seems to be in favour of everything being completely milquetoast and viciously harassing and going after and haranguing people who step outside of that. And one of these days, that's going to lead to a suicide, quite frankly. The way that they utterly destroy someone's ability to interact with their hobby and their community, it's gonna end badly for somebody at some point, and I have no doubt that none of them will be repentant about that at all. So the more there's a reaction of this kind, the more people around for this guy's blood, the tighter and more restrictive they demand things being, the worse it is going to be for everyone. And this situation should have been perfectly resolvable at the table between the people who were there. There was no need to get the social media mob involved at all. And this isn't just some edgelordery, right? You need to have the creative space to do these things. You need to be able to create games that are genuinely horrific. And quite often when these subjects are tackled by the right people, then they're lauded and upheld. Certainly in the indie computer gaming space and others, there's plenty of very difficult subjects that many might consider way too far that are nonetheless interesting, and we see those tackled in cinema and everything else. And there's a disingenuous willfulness to completely misrepresent anyone's point of view that is contrary to the zeitgeist, or at least the mob at the moment. I think a lot of that's driven by fear of the mob and not wanting to be targeted by it. But when you're told that, you know, fictional bad things happening to fictional bad people is somehow the equivalent of sitting a 4-year-old down in front of the last house on the left, or something, someone is not arguing honestly. It's just absolutely horrendous, far worse than a social faux pas of running an edgy game of horror, labelled as horror, with horrific things happening in it. It's even got on the BBC Midlands, saying this was a gang rape game, which it wasn't. It was just that was the scenario that he put together for it. It's out of control on social media, and there is no satisfying these people. How should it have been solved? The people at the table should have said, this isn't really for us, and gone away. Should the convention have got involved? Probably not. But if they did, the extent to which they should have been involved was to say, don't run this kind of thing. It's against our policies, you know, and it causes a problem if people take offence, which they have. And that should have been an end to it. But no, he must be banned from everything forever. Aspersions must be cast about his sexuality and the kind of pornography that he might be into. And anyone who goes, whoa, hang on a moment, don't you think you might be overreacting, shouldn't be getting the same treatment that he does. Fuck all of these people. Fuck them in their stupid asses. Consensually, obviously.
It's time for you boys to share my last taste of the true black meat. Flesh of the giant aquatic Brazilian centipede.